Tonight, allow your breathing to slow as we wander into the peaceful world of ancient Greece. There is no need to hurry and nothing you must remember. Together, we will quietly follow the gentle story of Athena, the goddess of wisdom, careful thought, skilled hands, and calm judgment. So settle into comfort, close your eyes, and let the quiet rhythm of this ancient tale carry you toward restful sleep. Long before the marble temples of Greece rose beneath the sun, the story of Athena began in a place beyond ordinary sight. Zeus, king of the Olympian gods, had taken the wise Titaness Medes as his companion. Ancient prophecy spoke softly of what might come, saying that Medes would first bear a daughter of unmatched wisdom, and later a son whose strength could surpass even Zeus himself. The king listened carefully to these words. Rather than acting in anger alone, he chose a path that reflected both caution and the deep respect the Greeks held for the power of destiny. In many ancient traditions, prophecy was not something to defeat with force. It was woven into the fabric of the world, like the steady movement of stars across the night. Zeus understood that resisting fate often invited it closer. With solemn purpose, he swallowed Medes, believing that her wisdom would remain safely within him. The tale is told not with urgency, but with the quiet acceptance that divine stories often carry many layers of meaning beyond their surface. Medes did not simply disappear. Ancient poets described her continuing to live within Zeus, offering wisdom from inside his divine being. Her intelligence became inseparable from his own. Rather than ending a story, this moment transformed it into something unexpected. The Greeks often imagined wisdom not as a possession that could be locked away, but as a living presence that continued to shape every thoughtful decision. In silence, something remarkable was gradually taking form. Time passed gently across Olympus. Seasons changed over distant valleys, rivers continued their patient journeys toward the sea, and the gods carried on with their timeless affairs. Yet within Zeus, a quiet mystery continued to grow. There was no visible sign upon the mountain, only the gradual unfolding of divine purpose. Greek mythology often allows important events to mature slowly, reminding listeners that the greatest transformations sometimes arrive without noise or haste. Eventually, Zeus began to experience a powerful pain within his head. Ancient storytellers described it as unlike any burden known among gods or mortals. Even so, the story unfolds with remarkable calm. The discomfort is not presented as punishment alone, but as the final stage of creation. Something wise and complete had reached the moment when it could no longer remain hidden. The heavens themselves seemed to wait in quiet stillness. Seeking relief, Zeus called upon Hephaestus, the skilled divine craftsman. In some ancient versions, another figure performs this task, but Hephaestus became the best-known companion in later Greek tradition. With careful obedience, he lifted his bronze axe. There was no battle, no conflict among rivals, only the steady fulfillment of divine necessity, carried out with the precision expected from the greatest artisan among the Olympian gods. With one measured strike, the head of Zeus was opened, and from that extraordinary moment, Athena emerged. She appeared fully grown, wearing shining armor and carrying the symbols of readiness and wisdom together. Unlike many births in mythology, hers required no years of childhood or gradual learning. She entered the world already complete, reflecting the Greek ideal that true wisdom possesses both clarity of thought and calm confidence in action. Ancient artists often portrayed Athena with a polished helmet, a long spear, and a protective shield. Yet beneath these symbols of defense rested a peaceful mind devoted to reason rather than conquest. She would become the patron of careful judgment, skilled craftsmanship, thoughtful strategy, and fair governance. Her armor represented readiness, but her greatest strength would always remain the quiet discipline of an ordered and balanced intellect. Because Athena was born from the mind of Zeus, the Greeks associated her closely with intelligence, reflection, and measured decision-making. Her origin expressed the belief that wisdom could guide power toward harmony instead of destruction. This symbolism became deeply important throughout Greek culture. Leaders, builders, poets, and philosophers all looked to Athena as an example of calm understanding, joined with practical skill. The story also reflects an ancient appreciation for balance. Athena combined courage with restraint, knowledge with humility, and strength with thoughtful purpose. She was not known for reckless displays or sudden anger. Instead, her presence suggested steady judgment, encouraging solutions shaped by patience and careful observation. These qualities made her one of the most admired figures among the Olympian gods. Among the many symbols connected to Athena, the olive tree became one of the gentlest. Its slow growth, lasting strength, and generous fruit reflected the enduring nature of wisdom itself. Long after battles faded into memory, olive groves continued to shelter travelers, nourish communities, and shade peaceful hillsides. In this way, Athena's gifts were remembered not through conquest, but through quiet prosperity and thoughtful care. Greek storytellers rarely separated myth from meaning. Every divine birth carried ideas about the world and humanity's place within it. Athena's unusual arrival suggested that the highest form of authority should be guided by intelligence rather than impulse. Her story invited generations to admire thoughtful leadership, steady learning, and the quiet confidence that grows from understanding rather than force. Across centuries, sculptors carved Athena into stone, painters placed her upon painted pottery, and poets praised her measured voice. Though artistic styles changed, the central image remained remarkably consistent. She stood as a guardian of cities, protector of crafts, and companion of wisdom. Her calm presence offered reassurance that knowledge could endure through changing ages, just as mountains endure beneath passing clouds. And so the quiet birth of Athena became one of the most enduring stories of ancient Greece. Emerging not from earth or sea, but from the thoughtful mind of Zeus, she embodied wisdom already awakened. Her legend continued to inspire temples, festivals, works of art, and peaceful reflection for countless generations. In the gentle rhythm of myth, her arrival remains less a dramatic beginning than the calm unfolding of enduring understanding. In the ancient Greek world, wisdom was not understood as collecting endless facts or speaking the loudest. It was a steady quality that grew through observation, patience, and thoughtful action. A wise person noticed the changing seasons, listened carefully to others, and accepted that every choice carried quiet consequences. This understanding shaped daily life as much as it shaped philosophy and myth. Wisdom invited balance instead of excess, gentle reflection instead of haste. It was considered a companion that stayed close to those willing to slow their minds and see the world with calm attention. Among the Olympian gods, Athena became the clearest symbol of this peaceful kind of wisdom. She was admired not because she ruled through emotion or force, but because she understood how careful thinking could prevent needless suffering. Her presence in myth often suggested clarity arriving after confusion, like soft morning light replacing darkness. Rather than seeking praise, she represented the quiet confidence that comes from understanding both the strengths and the limits of human nature. In this way, wisdom became something calm, measured, and enduring. The Greeks often connected wisdom with moderation. They believed that balance brought harmony to both individuals and cities. Great ambition could achieve remarkable things, yet without restraint it could easily become destructive. The wise person recognized when enough was truly enough. This idea appeared in poetry, public life, and sacred traditions alike. Wisdom did not silence desire entirely. Instead, it gently guided desire toward actions that created lasting peace, rather than brief moments of excitement followed by regret. Athena's sacred olive tree reflected these values beautifully. Unlike a weapon that existed for a single moment of conflict, an olive tree grew slowly across many seasons. It offered fruit, oil, wood, and shade to generations. Its gifts rewarded patience rather than haste. The tree became a lasting reminder that the greatest treasures often arrive gradually. Careful cultivation, not hurried effort, allowed its branches to flourish under the steady rhythm of the passing years. Greek craftsmen also saw wisdom in careful work. Every carved stone, woven cloth, or shaped piece of pottery required attention that could not be rushed. Athena was believed to watch over these peaceful skills because thoughtful hands reflected a thoughtful mind. True mastery appeared through countless small decisions made with care. In this quiet relationship between knowledge and craftsmanship, wisdom became something visible in everyday objects that served families and communities for many years. The temples dedicated to Athena were places where beauty and proportion expressed deeper ideas. Their balanced columns and harmonious spaces reflected an orderly universe in which reason and nature worked together. Visitors could experience calm simply by walking through these sacred places. The careful arrangement of stone encouraged peaceful contemplation without demanding loud ceremonies. Architecture itself became another language through which wisdom quietly revealed its presence. Ancient storytellers often contrasted wisdom with impulsive pride. Pride rushed forward believing it already knew enough. Wisdom paused, observed, and considered many paths before choosing one. This difference appeared again and again throughout Greek mythology. Those guided by thoughtful judgment frequently avoided conflicts that seemed impossible to escape. Their victories were often quiet rather than dramatic, leaving behind stability instead of celebration alone. For many Greeks, learning never truly ended. Age could deepen wisdom, yet every stage of life offered new lessons. A child observed nature with fresh curiosity. An adult gained experience through responsibility. An elder carried memories shaped by many changing seasons. Wisdom grew by gathering these moments together without rushing towards certainty. Each passing year added another calm layer to understanding, much like rings slowly forming within an ancient tree. The owl associated with Athena became a fitting symbol because it suggested careful perception. In quiet darkness, it noticed details that others overlooked. The image reminded people that wisdom often begins with attentive observation rather than immediate action. Looking carefully before speaking or deciding became a respected habit. Gentle awareness created opportunities that hurried movement might easily miss. Greek philosophers later explored wisdom through careful conversation, yet many of their ideas echoed much older traditions already present in myth. They sought understanding by listening, reasoning, and patiently examining different viewpoints. This gradual search reflected the same quiet spirit associated with Athena. Wisdom was never treated as a prize won once and forever. Instead, it remained a lifelong practice of thoughtful attention. Nature itself offered gentle lessons about wisdom. Rivers followed their courses without hurry. Mountains remained steady through changing generations. The returning seasons reminded people that life moved according to rhythms larger than any individual. Observing these patterns encouraged humility and patience. The natural world became a peaceful teacher, whose quiet examples required no spoken words. Even in stories involving conflict, Athena often represented thoughtful planning before action. Her wisdom encouraged careful preparation instead of reckless courage. This did not remove hardship from life, but it offered a steadier way of meeting it. Reflection became a source of strength equal to physical power. Calm judgment could guide difficult moments with remarkable grace. The city of Athens honored Athena not only through festivals, but through the hope that wisdom could shape civic life. Fair judgment, skilled craftsmanship, learning, and careful leadership were seen as gifts worth protecting. These ideals were never perfectly achieved, yet they remained meaningful aspirations. The city's connection with its patron goddess reflected a lasting belief that thoughtful minds could strengthen entire communities. Across centuries, Athena continued to represent a quiet form of wisdom that invited patience rather than urgency. Her symbols, stories, and sacred places encouraged people to value clear thinking, measured choices, and enduring kindness. In the gentle rhythm of Greek mythology, wisdom was never hurried. Like the slow growth of an olive tree beneath open skies, it unfolded one peaceful season at a time, offering calm guidance to every generation willing to notice its steady presence. Long ago, the land that would become Athens rested beneath gentle hills and clear skies. The people wished for a guardian whose gifts would help their homes flourish through many peaceful seasons. Among the immortal gods, Athena stepped forward with calm confidence. She was known for wisdom, thoughtful judgment, skilled craftsmanship, and patient strategy rather than loud displays of power. Her presence suggested careful planning, quiet learning, and steady hands at work. In the soft rhythm of ancient tradition, her arrival carried the promise that a city could grow not only through strength, but also through understanding and balance. Another great deity also wished to protect the city. According to Greek tradition, Poseidon offered a dramatic gift from the earth, while Athena chose something humble and lasting. Rather than seeking admiration through spectacle, she selected a blessing that would quietly support daily life. The ancient storytellers remembered this contrast with gentle appreciation. It reflected the belief that enduring prosperity often grows from patience, care, and practical wisdom, instead of sudden moments of excitement. The tale became one of the best-loved legends explaining how the city's future was shaped. Athena's gift was the olive tree, rooted firmly in the earth and reaching peacefully toward the light. Its fruit could nourish families, its oil could illuminate homes, and its wood could be carefully crafted into useful objects. Season after season, the tree asked for patient tending while rewarding steady devotion. Ancient Greeks admired this quiet partnership between people and nature. The olive became more than a useful plant. It stood as a gentle reminder that lasting abundance often arrives slowly, through consistent care and thoughtful effort. The people chose Athena as their divine protector, honoring the quiet usefulness of her gift. In gratitude, they gave the city her name, and it became known as Athens. This tradition connected the city's identity with learning, craftsmanship, fairness, and wise leadership. Rather than celebrating endless conquest, many stories remembered Athena as a guide who encouraged careful thinking before action. Her example suggested that true strength could remain calm, measured, and respectful, even when difficult decisions appeared before thoughtful minds. High above the city rose the sacred Acropolis, where Athena was especially honored. Over many generations, this rocky hill became a place where devotion, memory, and civic pride quietly gathered together. Travelers approaching from the countryside would see its temples catching the first light of morning. Their bright stone reflected the changing colors of the sky, creating a peaceful landmark visible from afar. The hill reminded citizens of their shared traditions and the enduring presence of the goddess who watched over them. Among these sacred buildings, the Parthenon became the greatest tribute to Athena. Built centuries after the earliest legends, it honored her as protector of the city and guardian of wisdom. Its graceful columns rose with quiet balance, expressing harmony rather than excess. Even today, the surviving structure reflects remarkable craftsmanship and careful design. Although time has changed its appearance, the temple still carries the peaceful spirit of those who wish to celebrate knowledge, beauty, and thoughtful human achievement. Athena herself was often imagined wearing armor, yet her stories frequently emphasized restraint instead of aggression. She represented the wisdom to avoid unnecessary conflict whenever possible, and the discipline to act carefully when action became necessary. Ancient poets praised clear judgment alongside courage, seeing both qualities as companions rather than opposites. This balanced image allowed her to become a symbol not only of protection, but also of thoughtful leadership guided by reason and compassion. The olive tree remained one of Athena's most enduring symbols throughout Greek history. Branches crowned victorious athletes, while olive oil served homes, kitchens, workshops, and sacred ceremonies alike. Every harvest reflected the patient rhythm of the seasons, inviting gratitude rather than haste. In this way, the simple tree quietly linked ordinary life with divine blessing. It showed that sacred meaning could be found in familiar daily work, carried out with care and respect. Craftsmanship also belonged to Athena's gentle influence. Weavers, builders, potters, and artisans honored careful skill developed through steady practice. Their work required attention, patience, and thoughtful hands rather than hurried effort. Ancient Greek tradition often celebrated these peaceful forms of excellence, recognizing that beautiful creations emerged one careful step at a time. Such stories encouraged appreciation for quiet dedication and the lasting satisfaction found in mastering useful arts. Wisdom in Athena's stories was never presented as loud certainty. Instead, it appeared through listening, observing, remembering, and choosing carefully. These gentle qualities became part of the city's cultural ideals, inspiring philosophers, teachers, and citizens across many generations. While real history was naturally more complex than legend, the myth expressed an enduring hope that thoughtful minds could guide communities toward stability and fairness. Its quiet message continued to echo through the centuries. The owl became another cherished companion of Athena, symbolizing careful observation and clear perception. In the stillness of evening, the bird seemed comfortable within the growing darkness, quietly noticing what others overlooked. Ancient artists often placed the owl beside the goddess to suggest insight supported by patience rather than haste. The image remained gentle and reassuring, inviting reflection instead of urgency, and reminding listeners that understanding often arrives through calm attention. Generations of storytellers preserved Athena's connection with Athens, because the tale offered more than an explanation for a city's name. It reflected cherished values that people hoped would guide everyday life. By remembering the olive tree, the temples, and the quiet wisdom of their protector, listeners found a peaceful image of civilization growing through learning, cooperation, and respect. The legend endured because its gentle lessons remained meaningful across changing times. Even as centuries passed, travelers continued to associate Athens with Athena's thoughtful presence. The city's monuments, hills, and olive groves quietly recalled the ancient tradition linking wisdom with careful stewardship. Though myths belong to the world of storytelling rather than history alone, they often preserve the values people most wished to remember. In this case, the story gently honored patience, learning, and the quiet strength that grows through thoughtful choices. As daylight faded across the hills of Greece, Athena's story settled into peaceful memory like evening light upon ancient stone. The city bearing her name continued through changing ages, while the olive tree remained a lasting symbol of calm endurance. Together they formed a quiet image of wisdom rooted deeply in the earth, growing slowly through the seasons, and offering gentle shelter to all who paused to remember the enduring beauty of thoughtful living. Athena was remembered not only for wisdom in councils and temples, but also for the quiet gifts that settled into everyday life. Her blessings appeared wherever people shaped useful things with patience and care. Rather than seeking loud displays of power, she was honored in calm moments of steady work. A loom standing by a window, an olive grove swaying beneath a mild breeze, and a carefully built home could all reflect her presence. In Greek tradition, thoughtful labor carried its own quiet dignity, and every well-made object suggested that wisdom could live gently within ordinary daily tasks. Among Athena's greatest gifts was the olive tree, offered to the city that would later bear her name. Ancient stories tell that while another deity presented a powerful horse, Athena caused an olive tree to spring from the earth. Its value unfolded slowly across the years rather than in a single dramatic moment. The tree offered fruit for nourishment, oil for cooking and light, wood for tools, and leaves that remained green through changing seasons. It became a symbol of endurance, usefulness, and peaceful prosperity shared across generations. Olive oil became one of the quiet treasures of the Greek world. It filled lamps with gentle light after sunset, flavored simple meals, anointed athletes, and played a role in sacred ceremonies. Every harvest required patience, careful tending, and respect for the changing seasons. The tree asked little haste from those who cared for it. Instead, it rewarded steady attention over many years, reflecting the thoughtful rhythm that Athena herself was believed to favor above sudden displays of force. Athena also guided crafts that demanded careful observation and practiced skill. Builders measured stones with precision, potters shaped balanced vessels, and carpenters joined wood into useful forms. None of these creations appeared instantly. Each required quiet concentration and the willingness to improve through repeated effort. Greek myths often associated Athena with the calm intelligence that transforms simple materials into lasting works, celebrating knowledge that grows patiently through experience rather than haste. Weaving held a particularly honored place among Athena's gifts. Across Greek households, looms stood as familiar companions to daily life. Threads crossed patiently into cloth that would warm families, decorate homes, and accompany important ceremonies. The steady rhythm of weaving reflected order rather than speed. Every pattern emerged one strand at a time, reminding those who watched that beautiful results often arise from countless gentle and nearly invisible moments of careful attention. Many stories describe Athena as a teacher of practical knowledge. She was believed to inspire not only rulers and heroes, but also those who quietly improved ordinary life. Farmers learned better ways to tend the land, artisans refined their techniques, and builders planned structures that could endure changing seasons. In these traditions, wisdom was never separated from usefulness. It became something that could be held, shared, and passed carefully from one generation to another. The olive branch gradually became a familiar symbol of peace throughout Greek tradition. Its quiet leaves suggested reconciliation after conflict and calm after hardship. While battles often filled epic poetry, the olive tree spoke of the quieter achievements that followed. Fields cultivated once more, homes repaired, and families returning to ordinary routines reflected a different kind of victory. Athena's gift reminded people that lasting prosperity grows most steadily where peace is allowed to take root. Craftsmanship in ancient Greece was often admired for its balance. Pottery carried graceful proportions, temples followed careful mathematical relationships, and everyday tools were shaped for both beauty and purpose. Athena represented the thoughtful mind behind such harmony. Her influence suggested that careful design was more than decoration. It reflected an understanding of nature, materials, and the quiet satisfaction found when every part served its proper place. The changing seasons also suited Athena's patient character. Olive trees did not rush toward harvest, nor did craftsmen complete important work in a single day. Time itself became part of every worthwhile creation. Greek tradition often honored this gradual unfolding, recognizing that lasting achievements rarely arrived through sudden effort alone. Instead, they emerged through steady care repeated across many quiet mornings and peaceful evenings. Athena's connection to human skill reached beyond physical objects. Planning, careful judgment, and thoughtful preparation were also considered forms of craftsmanship. Just as a builder studied each stone before placing it, wise decisions were believed to benefit from patience and reflection. In this way, practical intelligence became another quiet gift, shaping not only buildings and tools, but also peaceful communities and enduring traditions. Throughout the Greek world, olive groves became familiar companions to villages, roads, and sanctuaries. Their silvery leaves shimmered softly whenever the wind passed through them, creating a landscape that seemed calm even during changing seasons. Many trees lived for generations, quietly linking grandparents, parents, and children beneath the same branches. Their long lives reflected continuity, reminding people that wisdom often grows most naturally alongside patience and care. Festivals honoring Athena sometimes included finely crafted offerings rather than displays of wealth alone. Carefully woven garments, beautifully shaped vessels, and thoughtful works of art expressed gratitude through skill and dedication. The value of such gifts rested not only in their appearance, but also in the patient effort that produced them. Quiet excellence became a fitting tribute to a goddess who valued careful understanding above unnecessary excess. Even today, the image of the olive tree continues to carry echoes of these ancient traditions. Its roots reach deeply into rocky ground, while its branches remain flexible beneath the wind. Such qualities quietly mirror the balance celebrated in Athena's stories. Strength joined with adaptability, usefulness joined with beauty, and patience joined with enduring purpose. The tree remains one of the most recognizable symbols inherited from the ancient Greek world. In the gentle rhythm of olive groves, woven cloth, carefully shaped pottery, and thoughtfully built homes, Athena's presence was imagined not as distant grandeur, but as quiet guidance. Her mythology reminds us that wisdom may reveal itself through peaceful work performed with steady hands and patient minds. The ordinary acts of tending, crafting, and preserving became lasting expressions of civilization, carried forward with calm devotion across countless generations of the ancient Mediterranean. Across the hills and cities of ancient Greece, quiet temples dedicated to Athena stood with calm dignity. Built of pale stone and carefully placed upon high ground, they offered peaceful spaces where daily life slowed into thoughtful silence. Worshippers arrived with simple offerings of olive oil, woven cloth, or fresh branches from the sacred olive tree. The fragrance of incense drifted gently through the air while soft prayers were spoken with steady voices. Athena was honored not through noisy display alone, but through careful attention, measured actions, and the belief that wisdom grew strongest where patience and respect quietly endured. At sunrise, The temple doors were opened by devoted caretakers who swept the stone floors and prepared the sacred spaces with quiet care. Lamps were trimmed, fresh water was placed near the altar, and garlands of greenery were arranged with deliberate hands. Every action followed traditions remembered across many generations. These daily rituals were not hurried duties, but peaceful expressions of gratitude. Through simple routines repeated with consistency, the presence of Athena was honored as a guiding force that encouraged order, clarity, and thoughtful living within the rhythm of each passing day. The olive tree held a special place in Athena's worship. According to tradition, her gift of the olive brought nourishment, light, shelter, and enduring peace to the people of Athens. Its branches became symbols of calm prosperity rather than conquest. Oil from its fruit illuminated homes and temples, while its wood and leaves served many practical purposes. In everyday life, the olive reminded families that lasting blessings often arrived through patience, steady work, and wise choices rather than sudden displays of strength or wealth. Throughout the year, sacred festivals celebrated Athena with reverence and careful preparation. These occasions blended worship, civic pride, music, poetry, and athletic skill into harmonious expressions of gratitude. Although many people gathered, the ceremonies themselves reflected dignity and order. Sacred hymns echoed through open spaces, while offerings were carried with measured steps. The celebrations honored not only the goddess herself, but also the ideals she represented: thoughtful leadership, skilled craftsmanship, and the quiet confidence that knowledge could strengthen an entire community across generations. Among these celebrations, the Panathenaic festival became one of the most important in Athens. At its heart was a solemn procession that honored Athena with devotion and gratitude. A beautifully woven robe, known as the peplos, was prepared over many months and presented to the ancient wooden image of the goddess. This careful work reflected the value placed upon patience, skill, and cooperation. Every thread represented not haste, but dedication shared across the community in quiet service to their divine protector. Athena's temples also served as places where people reflected upon justice, agreements, and the responsibilities of citizenship. Before important decisions, individuals sometimes offered prayers asking for clear judgment rather than easy success. Her guidance was associated with balanced thinking instead of impulsive action. In this way, worship extended beyond ceremonies into ordinary choices made each day. The quiet discipline of fairness, honesty, and careful reasoning became another form of devotion, carried not only within sacred buildings but throughout daily life. Craftsmen and craftswomen felt a special closeness to Athena, whose wisdom embraced both the mind and the skilled hand. Weavers, sculptors, metalworkers, and builders often dedicated their finest work to her honor. Creating something useful and beautiful was seen as an act of respect. The steady rhythm of weaving, carving, or shaping stone reflected the quiet patience that Athena encouraged. Through careful practice, ordinary labor became connected to something enduring, linking human effort with ideals that reached beyond a single lifetime. Even travelers passing through unfamiliar lands sometimes paused at shrines dedicated to Athena. These smaller sacred places offered moments of rest before continuing along winding roads or crossing nearby seas. A traveler might leave a modest offering or speak a brief prayer, asking for wise decisions during the journey ahead. Such simple gestures reflected confidence that careful thought and steady judgment could guide a person safely through changing circumstances more reliably than haste or fear. As daylight softened into evening, temple courtyards grew quieter. The warmth of the stones slowly faded, while the final light rested upon columns and carved rooftops. Gentle breezes carried the scent of olive leaves across the sacred grounds. Lamps began to glow inside the sanctuary, offering calm illumination through the coming night. The peaceful transition from day to evening reflected the enduring steadiness associated with Athena, whose wisdom remained constant regardless of changing hours or seasons. The owl, long associated with Athena, quietly appeared throughout sacred art and decoration. Rather than representing noise or excitement, it symbolized calm observation and the ability to perceive what others overlooked. Coins, carvings, and painted vessels often included the familiar bird beside the goddess. Its silent presence reminded worshippers that understanding frequently emerged from careful attention. Wisdom, like the owl's watchful gaze beneath the night sky, required patience more than speed. Children growing up in Athens encountered Athena not only during festivals, but also through stories told within their homes. Parents and elders shared tales that praised thoughtful choices, respectful conduct, and perseverance. These quiet lessons became woven into daily routines alongside work, study, and family life. In this way, devotion to Athena extended beyond formal worship. Her influence gently shaped character through ordinary habits, practiced with consistency over many years. High upon the Acropolis, the Parthenon became the most celebrated temple dedicated to Athena. Its balanced proportions and graceful columns reflected the Greek admiration for harmony and careful design. Though magnificent in appearance, the temple also expressed quiet ideals rather than overwhelming grandeur alone. Every stone contributed to an ordered whole, echoing the belief that wisdom brings balance to both architecture and human life through thoughtful planning and patient craftsmanship. Season after season, worship continued without urgency. Harvests arrived, generations passed, and festivals returned according to familiar calendars. Through these repeating cycles, Athena remained a steady presence within the lives of countless people. Her temples witnessed moments of celebration, reflection, gratitude, and quiet hope. The rhythm of devotion itself became comforting, reminding those who entered that enduring wisdom grows gradually, strengthened by consistency rather than sudden change. As evening settled gently over Greece, temple stones retained the final warmth of the sun before cooling beneath the stars. The day's offerings had been placed, the prayers quietly spoken, and the sacred spaces returned to stillness. Nothing hurried the passing hours. In that peaceful silence, Athena's enduring gifts of wisdom, balance, craftsmanship, and thoughtful living seemed to rest softly upon the land, as calm and lasting as the olive trees that continued to grow through the centuries. Athena rarely hurried those she favored. Her guidance often arrived as a quiet thought, a steady plan, or a timely word rather than a dazzling display of power. Heroes who listened discovered that careful preparation could be stronger than bold confidence. In many stories, she appeared only briefly, offering wisdom before allowing each person to choose the path ahead. This patient companionship reflected her nature as the goddess of thoughtful action. She valued clear minds over quick tempers, inviting travelers and rulers alike to trust calm judgment even when the road stretched into uncertainty. Among the heroes she supported, Perseus received her careful assistance before facing the Gorgon Medusa. Athena provided a polished bronze shield whose bright surface reflected like still water. Looking only into the reflection, Perseus avoided Medusa's deadly gaze while carrying out his difficult task. The gift was not simply a weapon. It represented thoughtful observation, reminding every listener that wisdom often sees dangers indirectly, with patience and steady attention instead of reckless speed. Athena also stood beside Odysseus through many years of wandering after the Trojan War. She admired not only his courage, but also his cleverness, his ability to endure long hardships, and his willingness to think before acting. Although she could not erase every difficulty from his voyage, she quietly influenced events at important moments, helping him find safe harbors, trustworthy allies, and opportunities to return home with dignity. When Odysseus finally approached Ithaca, Athena did not simply reveal everything at once. Instead, she carefully guided each meeting, each disguise, and each decision with remarkable patience. She understood that lasting peace required wisdom as much as strength. Her help encouraged careful timing rather than sudden action, allowing justice to unfold through measured choices instead of uncontrolled anger. Athena's protection extended beyond famous heroes. Ancient travelers crossing hills, valleys, and unfamiliar roads could quietly hope for her favor. Every careful map, every sensible route, and every thoughtful decision echoed the qualities she encouraged. Safe journeys depended upon observation, preparation, and respect for changing conditions. These simple habits reflected her wisdom, just as surely as the legendary adventures sung by poets. Many cities honored Athena because wise planning strengthened entire communities. Roads, walls, harbors, and marketplaces all required careful design before they could serve generations. Her influence reached beyond individual victories into the patient work of building places where people could live securely together. Quiet craftsmanship and thoughtful leadership became lasting expressions of her divine character. The olive tree, one of Athena's enduring symbols, reflected this same spirit of gentle endurance. It grows slowly, offering shade, fruit, and oil through many seasons. Unlike sudden treasures that quickly disappear, the olive rewarded patience and steady care. Its quiet presence reminded ancient people that true prosperity often arrives gradually, shaped by time and thoughtful effort. Athena frequently appeared in simple disguises rather than overwhelming splendor. She might resemble an ordinary traveler, a trusted advisor, or a familiar companion. In these forms, her wisdom entered daily life without demanding attention. The story suggests that good advice can arrive quietly, carried by calm voices instead of dramatic signs, rewarding those willing to listen with care. Her guidance never removed the responsibility of choice. Heroes still faced uncertainty, difficult decisions, and the consequences of their actions. Athena offered understanding rather than complete control. In this balance between divine help and human judgment, the myths celebrated thoughtful independence. Wisdom could illuminate the road, but every traveler still placed one careful step after another. Athena's sacred owl became another quiet reminder of attentive perception. The bird's calm gaze suggested careful observation before movement. Ancient artists often placed the owl beside the goddess as a symbol of clear sight and measured understanding. Rather than rushing into darkness, wisdom paused long enough to notice details hidden from impatient eyes. The myths rarely describe Athena seeking praise for her assistance. Once guidance had been given and balance restored, she often withdrew into the background of the story. This gentle restraint matched her nature. True wisdom did not demand constant recognition. It quietly allowed others to grow stronger through their own thoughtful actions and careful perseverance. Generations of storytellers remembered Athena as a protector whose greatest gift was clarity. Battles eventually ended, voyages reached their shores, and kingdoms changed with time. Yet wise judgment remained valuable through every age. Her presence encouraged patience whenever confusion seemed strongest, offering calm understanding that outlasted passing moments of fear or uncertainty. Even today, these ancient stories gently celebrate the quiet strength of careful thinking. Athena reminds the imagination that wisdom grows through observation, learning, and steady practice. Her heroes succeeded not because every path was easy, but because thoughtful choices slowly carried them forward. Like the peaceful rhythm of walking beneath open skies, her guidance unfolded one calm step at a time. As evening settles over the timeless hills of Greece, Athena's patient example remains peaceful and unhurried. Her legends invite the mind toward stillness rather than excitement, toward quiet confidence instead of haste. In the gentle silence surrounding temples, olive trees, and distant seas, her wisdom lingers softly, suggesting that the calmest path often carries the traveler safely home. Athena was rarely separated from the symbols that quietly surrounded her. Ancient artists and poets gave her companions and objects that expressed qualities of the mind rather than displays of force. These familiar signs appeared on temples, painted pottery, coins, and carved stone throughout the Greek world. Together, they formed a peaceful visual language. A traveler who recognized them could understand that wisdom, careful judgment, skilled craftsmanship, and thoughtful protection were being honored. The symbols became gentle reminders that the clearest strength often arrived without noise, settling patiently into daily life like calm light across smooth marble. Among these symbols, the owl became the most enduring companion of Athena. The little bird was admired for its quiet movements and its ability to see through the dim hours when others rested. Greeks connected this calm awareness with thoughtful observation rather than mystery alone. The owl suggested careful attention before action, encouraging a mind that noticed details hidden from hurried eyes. Its presence beside Athena reflected the patient gathering of understanding, where wisdom grew slowly through silence instead of haste or loud certainty. The owl appeared so often beside Athena that its image spread across everyday life. On silver coins minted in Athens, one side carried the goddess while the other displayed the familiar bird. These coins traveled through distant ports and marketplaces, quietly carrying the city's identity wherever merchants sailed. The small owl became a symbol recognized across the Mediterranean, representing thoughtful government, skilled trade, and confidence in measured judgment. Even in commerce, Athena's presence suggested balance between practical needs and careful reflection. Another cherished sign was the olive tree, traditionally connected with Athena through the famous story of her gift to Athens. Though simple in appearance, the tree offered food, oil, wood, and lasting shade. It rewarded steady care over many years, becoming an emblem of patient prosperity instead of sudden wealth. The Greeks valued this quiet generosity. Like wisdom itself, the olive tree matured gradually, offering benefits that continued across generations without demanding attention through dramatic displays. Athena also carried the Aegis, a remarkable protective garment closely associated with divine authority. Ancient sources describe it as a fringed cloak or protective covering, often bearing the head of Medusa after Perseus presented it to the goddess. Rather than serving only as armor, the Aegis expressed sacred protection and awe. Its appearance reminded observers that wisdom could guard communities just as surely as walls or shields. The object united thoughtful leadership with the responsibility to defend what deserved lasting care. The image of Medusa upon the Aegis was not included to celebrate fear alone. In Greek tradition, the powerful face served as an apotropaic symbol, believed to turn away danger and harmful influences. Protective images appeared on temples, shields, and buildings throughout the ancient world. When Athena bore the Aegis, she carried not reckless aggression but a reminder that wisdom also required vigilance. Calm judgment sometimes stood as the strongest defense, quietly preventing disorder before conflict could grow. Athena's helmet offered another thoughtful contrast. Although she was prepared for battle when necessary, artists often showed her standing calmly with helmet raised or resting upon her head without movement. The helmet represented readiness rather than constant warfare. It suggested that clear thinking remained valuable before any action was taken. Through this image, Greek art presented discipline as something peaceful, where strength rested comfortably beneath self-control instead of rushing toward unnecessary conflict. The spear carried by Athena followed the same quiet pattern. It symbolized disciplined defense, resolve, and intelligent strategy more than unchecked violence. Greek storytellers regularly portrayed the goddess guiding heroes with thoughtful advice instead of overwhelming force. The spear therefore became an emblem of focused purpose. Like a straight path across calm water, it reflected direction, clarity, and restraint. Its meaning rested not in constant use, but in the wisdom to understand when restraint served better than action. Craftsmanship itself became one of Athena's living symbols. Looms, weaving, carved wood, polished bronze, and carefully shaped pottery all reflected her influence. Every patient movement of the artisan echoed the steady habits of thoughtful creation. In Greek imagination, skill was not separated from wisdom. Knowledge revealed itself through careful work completed with attention and balance. A finished object carried quiet evidence that disciplined practice could transform ordinary materials into something both useful and enduring. Snakes also appeared beside Athena in certain ancient images, especially around the Acropolis of Athens. Rather than representing danger alone, serpents often symbolized renewal, guardianship, and the deep continuity of the land. Their silent movements suited the goddess whose wisdom observed patiently before acting. In sacred spaces, the serpent reminded worshippers that lasting knowledge often remained close to the earth, connected with memory, tradition, and careful stewardship passed from one generation to the next. Many statues of Athena combined these familiar symbols into one balanced figure. An owl might rest nearby, the Aegis drape across her shoulders, the spear stand upright, and the helmet remain composed above her calm expression. Each object added another quiet layer of meaning. Together they formed a visual lesson understood even without words. Wisdom was shown not as an abstract idea, but as something visible, steady, and woven into the rhythm of ordinary civic life. Visitors entering sanctuaries dedicated to Athena encountered these symbols repeatedly in carvings, painted decorations, and offerings. Familiar shapes encouraged quiet reflection before prayer or celebration. The surroundings themselves became teachers, inviting careful observation instead of hurried attention. Every repeated image gently reinforced the values that the goddess represented. The experience was not designed to overwhelm the senses, but to guide the mind toward balance, patience, and thoughtful understanding through peaceful repetition. Even centuries after the classical world faded, the owl and olive branch continued to represent learning and thoughtful peace in many cultures. Although their meanings evolved across time, their association with Athena remained recognizable. Libraries, schools, and artistic traditions often adopted these familiar images as quiet echoes of ancient Greece. The enduring appeal of these symbols reflected a simple idea that remained comforting across generations. Wisdom flourished best where patience and careful attention were allowed to grow. Seen together, the owl, the Aegis, the olive tree, and the other quiet emblems formed a gentle portrait of Athena herself. They spoke without voices, expressing protection joined with understanding, preparation joined with restraint, and knowledge joined with patient care. Ancient Greece preserved these symbols not merely as decorations, but as lasting reflections of an ideal. In their calm presence, thoughtful living appeared steady and unhurried, moving forward with quiet confidence beneath the broad and peaceful sky. As generations quietly passed, the presence of Athena spread far beyond the hills of Attica. Sailors carried stories of her across calm seas, while merchants and settlers honored her in distant ports. Her name traveled with carefully carved statues, painted pottery, and thoughtful prayers. Though every city expressed its devotion in slightly different ways, Athena remained a familiar symbol of wisdom, measured judgment, skilled craftsmanship, and peaceful order. Her influence settled gently into everyday life, becoming part of the shared cultural memory of many communities throughout the ancient Mediterranean. The great temple known as the Parthenon stood upon the Acropolis of Athens as one of the most enduring tributes to the goddess. Built during the 5th century BCE, it reflected remarkable skill in architecture and sculpture. Dedicated to Athena Parthenos, meaning Athena the Maiden, the temple became a lasting symbol of civic pride and artistic achievement. Even as centuries brought change, the quiet strength of its graceful columns continued to remind visitors of the ideals that the goddess represented. Inside the Parthenon once stood an extraordinary statue created by the sculptor Phidias. Fashioned from gold and ivory over a wooden framework, Athena rose in calm dignity above those who entered. She wore armor without menace, expressing confidence rather than aggression. Although the original statue has long disappeared, descriptions preserved by ancient writers allow its memory to endure. The image became one of the most celebrated artistic representations of a divine figure in the ancient Greek world. Athena's symbols also traveled with remarkable consistency. The owl represented attentive wisdom and careful observation. The olive tree recalled the peaceful gift she offered to Athens. Her shield and helmet spoke of disciplined defense rather than reckless conquest. These familiar images appeared on coins, pottery, reliefs, and temples across many regions. Through simple symbols repeated over generations, people recognized the quiet values that Athena inspired wherever Greek culture reached. Greek colonies established along distant shores often built sanctuaries dedicated to Athena. From southern Italy to the coast of Asia Minor, travelers encountered temples where familiar rituals were performed with local traditions gently woven alongside them. Each sanctuary reflected its own landscape and community, yet all honored the same enduring goddess. The peaceful continuity of these places connected people separated by long sea voyages through shared beliefs and familiar stories. As Greek culture interacted with neighboring civilizations, Athena's influence continued to grow in thoughtful ways. Her qualities of wisdom, learning, and careful governance found appreciation beyond the cities where her worship first flourished. Rather than remaining limited to a single place, her image became part of a broader exchange of ideas that linked many cultures around the Mediterranean through commerce, diplomacy, philosophy, and artistic expression. When Roman civilization expanded across the Mediterranean, Athena became closely associated with the goddess Minerva. While each tradition preserved its own identity, many of their qualities naturally aligned. Both represented wisdom, skilled craftsmanship, and thoughtful strategy. Roman writers, artists, and builders continued to celebrate these enduring virtues, allowing Athena's legacy to remain visible even as political power shifted from Greece to Rome. Philosophers often found Athena to be a fitting symbol for the careful search for knowledge. In Athens, discussion, observation, and disciplined reasoning became treasured pursuits. While philosophy developed through human inquiry rather than divine instruction, The goddess remained a graceful reminder that wisdom flourishes through patience, humility, and thoughtful reflection. Her quiet presence harmonized naturally with places devoted to learning and conversation. Artists returned to Athena again and again across many centuries. Vase painters depicted familiar moments from her myths with balanced composition and careful detail. Sculptors shaped her calm expression into marble and bronze. Poets praised her wisdom through measured verses. Each generation interpreted her with respect, allowing her character to remain recognizable, while artistic styles slowly evolved through changing eras. Long after temples ceased to function as centers of worship, the stories of Athena continued to be copied by scholars and preserved in manuscripts. Ancient myths survived because generations valued them not only as sacred traditions, but also as literature, history, and cultural memory. Through careful preservation, the gentle figure of Athena quietly crossed from the ancient world into the libraries of later civilizations. During the Renaissance, artists and thinkers rediscovered many works from classical Greece and Rome. Athena once again appeared in paintings, sculptures, and books as a timeless emblem of learning and wisdom. Although centuries had passed since her temples welcomed worshippers, her symbolic meaning remained remarkably familiar. Her calm figure continued to inspire those who valued thoughtful study, artistic excellence, and balanced judgment. Even today, Athena remains one of the most recognizable figures from Greek mythology. Universities, libraries, museums, and cultural institutions frequently adopt her symbols to represent knowledge and thoughtful inquiry. Her owl, olive branch, and helmet still appear in architecture, literature, and public art. Across thousands of years, her identity has remained remarkably consistent, offering a peaceful image of intelligence guided by restraint. Unlike stories centered upon endless battles or dramatic victories, Athena's legacy rests upon quieter achievements. She represents the patient building of cities, the careful teaching of useful skills, and the steady pursuit of understanding. These gentle accomplishments often endure longer than moments of conflict. Through this enduring balance, her mythology continues to offer a calm reflection on the lasting value of wisdom over force. As the sun slowly sets across the ancient Mediterranean, the memory of Athena settles softly into history. Her temples weathered the passing centuries, her stories crossed countless generations, and her symbols remained familiar to people separated by both distance and time. In quiet marble, peaceful olive groves, and enduring works of art, the goddess leaves behind not the echo of conquest, but the lasting comfort of wisdom patiently shared.